All right, making a quick video on just immediate noticeable differences between Classic WoW and Turtle WoW, and technically also the retail WoW client, but just focusing on Classic WoW. I do have add-ons installed on both, but neither of them matter or are set up really. It's worth noting though that Turtle WoW does have add-ons, some built into the launcher, so that you can install, as well as game tweaks. So right now I'm focused on Classic WoW, which would be obvious. A couple people running around. First thing to test zoom distance. Classic WoW has the restricted retail zoom distance that I believe was forced in Legion. I'm not sure if Blizzard ever had reasons cited as to why this was necessary. If it is just so that you can't see things de-rendered from closer distance now, that would be a bit sad. If it's like some raid argument, like, oh, we don't want you to be zoomed out so far in a raid, that's also a terrible argument, because you literally allow add-ons that are effectively just cheats for raids that you are then forced to design raids around, which is frankly just absurd. Should never have come to that. It's honestly ridiculous, but that's not what this is about. So we can see the max zoom distance in Classic. It's not that good. It's serviceable, but we know it could be better, because we know that the vanilla client supports a much further zoom out. So here from a private server, and again, this wouldn't even be a thing that would be affected by any server core rewrite or anything at all. This is a forced restriction, the retail client, for an unknown reason. Reason that I don't know. I can't come up with an argument that makes sense, that can't easily be countered. So right away we can see zoom out distance is obviously far superior in TWoW, and I think this would just apply to frankly any private server that's running on the vanilla 1.12 client. Typically when a game evolves and upgrades, you don't get more restrictive in interface and kind of, I guess, performance stuff like this. It's kind of a bit ridiculous that, I mean, if it is a performance reason, that's just even worse, where it's like your game's getting, really the performance is that much worse that you can't have that much more on a player's screen at one time. They'd be doing that much. It's still embarrassing if that was the case. Really can't think of anything to justify not letting players zoom far. Spinning around like that also highlights other things like draw distance. Like the fact that in Turtle WoW right now, that's Ratchet up there, in the corner. See Ratchet. Even mobs up here that we can see that are rendered in. Now the entity rendering is tied to the server core, because Blizzard server core, I believe, is still single thread completely for world simulation, which is obviously not ideal. I'm fairly certain though it is single thread for world simulation. I believe TWoW is multi-threaded for world simulations. 8 to 16 threads handling this, as opposed to literally a single thread. Why is that? Because it's just cheaper and easier to just ignore that as an upgrade that would be important to make. Other things I can think of, TDP versus UDP. I'm pretty sure Retail WoW Classic still uses TDP. And Turtle WoW is using UDP, which is obviously going to cause way less of a bandwidth hit, and is just going to be more efficient for the server. And these are all low-level rewrites, right? These are all low-level rewrites that Blizzard could totally make centralized SQL as well, I'm fairly certain, with Blizzard, which again is going to be causing issues. And these are all low-level rewrites that they could easily make. It would just most likely cost upfront around $30 to $50 million, and probably expand networking maintenance costs to like 3 to 5 million range yearly, which, you know, to a normal person, you're like, that's a lot of money. To a company like Blizzard, a multi-billion-dollar company, which is now owned by a multi-trillion-dollar company, which has a yearly gaming revenue of like 23 billion, right? Microsoft Gaming. That's nothing. That's a fart in the wind for a change that is just a net positive. And you might think, well, the game works, right? What does it even do? Well, for retail players, it might not be as big a deal. I don't know. I can't speak for them. I haven't seriously played retail since Legion. But it doesn't technically solve layering, but it pushes things like layering and sharding to not be necessary for a much higher cap. So currently on classic clients, the cap will kick in a couple hundred players, right? Like 200 to 300 players, and you're getting you're forced layering. People are going to be disappearing left and right. You're going to be running into major problems like that. Your friends will be on different layers, right? Whole bunch of different layers, way more world bosses because of all the different layers. Whereas with these low-level rewrites, all of a sudden you push that like low couple hundred limit to over 1,000, right? Potentially even 1,500 plus players that could be handled in a single location without forcing layering, which is how it should be. You shouldn't have to use that as a crutch and force that to just be your solution. It should be the last resort option when the game finally goes, okay, there's so many people, we have to change this. We have to start layering, which is technically what it's doing now, but the so many people is just a couple hundred. Then it seems like they might even have it active just for no reason, persistently, or something weird where you'll see layering even if a zone has like maybe 40 people, which obviously is just bad, right? You shouldn't be in like a one-on-one duel with somebody and they get layered naturally. I mean, obviously you can abuse layering by just, oh, quick, somebody invite me, quick, oh my god, which is just so terrible. Right. But, yeah, again, render distance, that's just such a weird, like, just draw distance. Like, I don't think the server is that restrictive that this isn't still drawn in a classic client. It's just that the actual visibility restriction way worse. I can only think of performance reasons. I'm sure that ratchet is still loaded right now within the draw distance classic. It's just that it's so restricted, same with the camera, that you can't see it here. The fog is way closer. Just give people the option to push that limit to the max of what the server will render. Cares. It's not a big deal. Like, let people control that. I don't know why you don't. And then in terms of entity rendering, that is fully server restrictive. So it's super simple. We'll go just real quick. We'll run out. Yeah. See here. Run outside on Gerfuffles. We'll check the entity render. Again, you can see raw distance. Terrible. I mean, entity render will stop right here. We see one Scorpid. We actually see a critter, and he, okay. So already from here we can see Senjin. I mean, from right here we already see the Scorpid, we see the boar, we see the critter, another boar, see Scorpid the whole way over here. See the fishing hut, see this island. Classic. We just see the Scorpid. The only one in range. Can barely see that island. Walk forward. I'm sure we'll see. Yeah, look at that. All this rendering barely away from this first mob that's rendered. That's just terrible. That is absolutely unacceptable. I mean, it shouldn't be this bad. No MMO has a render distance this bad because they simply haven't updated their server core. I mean, what the heck is this? What is this? This is a private server. No, the argument of, oh, Blizzard big server or TWoW small server is just so stupid. That has nothing to do with this. These are individual servers. Blizzard just has more. Blizzard just has more. It's not one big server. They just have more of them. And yeah, they'll have more back-end stuff. Sure, they will have more back-end stuff than TWoW. But they still don't have the changes that TWoW made to make the servers run better. Right? To make all of this actually better. Right? Like world simulation being single-threaded, which is ridiculous. That is just unacceptable. That's why this is a thing. That's why this is a thing right here. This is the only mob I can see from here. Are you kidding me? You know how annoying that is? And then that's, of course, not even getting into the layering issue, which is really the biggest issue. But yeah, that's it. That's the only mob I can see from this distance. Whereas on a private server ran by volunteers, way further away, and less restrictive draw distance, less restrictive camera distance, players the whole way over here, absolutely not. Not in Classic, wouldn't see them. What's funny is, you know they have the means to push entity distance out further. They force it for parties, right? If you're in a party with someone, it'll be it forces their entity render distance to like basically infinite. I'm pretty sure. If like someone was in my party, I would see them. They would be technically loaded in beyond what I might even draw distance, right? Like if someone was over here, they'd be loaded in. Okay, but yeah, we have this mob here. We have Acne doling me, and in TWoW, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's unacceptable. The bottom line is they need to make some low-level rewrites to their server core to make the world feel more seamless, higher player counts on single layers, further entity render distance, and then also bring back the original camera distance and max draw distance. Like, what the hell is... I'm certain this is still loaded. It's not like this isn't loaded. It's just that the distance is like, there's no way this isn't loaded on the server. I doubt it. It's not being pushed that far. But yeah, I don't know. It's just ridiculous, and it is unacceptable. Stupid. I'm curious how far, like, okay, we see this guy. Will this guy ever de-render? Coming back. Okay, here where this guy's going over here. Try and see when he... Okay, so the whole way out here rendered. Yeah, I mean, it's here. He rendered. I mean, obviously, yeah, you could just see how much further out that is compared to Classic. So, yeah, I don't know, just annoying discrepancies there between a private server and Classic when Blizzard fully has the means to push stuff like entity render out further, camera out further, draw distance out further, and then make changes that allow for layering to not have to activate for until it reaches a much higher player count than it does now. So, yeah. Pointless video of me ranting about stuff that Blizzard could do and probably never will. But maybe they will, who knows?